Okay, everyone, we are here with our third mindfulness lesson. And so today we are talking about steadying our attention with anchors. And the specific anchor we're going to learn about today is mindfulness of sound. But before we get there, let's just check in for a second with a little bit of listening to our bell and taking those 3 breaths. So get into whatever position is comfortable yet alert for yourself, and just take that moment. You can close your eyes or gently put your focus downwards, whatever is more comfortable for you. So now again, just check in. Check with your body. Notice how you feel right now. I'll put the emotions grid on the screen again, so you can just notice where you are. Are you in the red? Are you in the yellow? Are you in the green? Are you in the blue? Is your energy high or low? Are you feeling pleasant or unpleasant? Just check in with yourself and notice that. Right now, let's think about what we have learned so far. In lesson 1, our main tool that we took from that was paying attention or being distracted. So have you noticed still when you're paying attention, and have you noticed when you're being distracted? Again, remember, are you noticing what you're doing when you're distracted? What distracts you? Are you noticing when you're really paying attention and super focused? What are you doing in those times? So just continue to be aware of that. And then the second lesson, we learned about our body, right? And whether we are still or whether we're in movement, and just what that feels like, where we notice tension, where we notice just the sensations of our body, when it feels pleasant or unpleasant, when we're alert and engaged or disengaged and tired, just paying attention to that. So with that, we will start our exploration of today, week number 3. Okay, so here we are with exploration. And so when we start practicing mindfulness, we begin to notice just how much our mind wanders. We don't always notice that until we start paying attention to it, right? And really, that's one of the most important parts of the practice, is realizing when our attention is focused and when our attention drifts away. And then bringing it back when it drifts away. It's not gone, right? Our attention's still there, but it's just learning how to bring that attention back to what we want to focus on right now. So remember, our definition of mindfulness: paying attention with kindness and curiosity, right? Kindness and curiosity. We don't have to get mad at ourselves when we notice our mind wandering, because we're human, and that's kind of what the mind does. So in mindfulness practice, we often practice with what we call an anchor. So we're going to learn today one of our first anchors. And so think about for a second what an anchor, so A-N-C-H-O-R, what does an anchor do? And you can see this picture of an anchor, right? It keeps a boat drifting. And so it's not the boat's fault for moving with the currents of the ocean and drifting and moving away. And it just happens, right? But when it happens, the anchor is there to keep it back. The anchor brings it back to where it's supposed to be. So whenever and whatever we pay attention to in mindfulness practice, that can be our anchor. Just as an anchor keeps a boat drifting away, an anchor in mindfulness can keep our attention. It can bring our attention back to our present moment. So in fact, when we're being mindful of our body, when we did that in that last 2 sessions, we were using our body as an anchor, right? Just being aware of how our body feels when it's still or when it's in movement is a way of bringing attention to our body, being an anchor. So it's not that your fault, again, that your mind wanders with that wave or with that current, but it helps to have some anchor to bring your attention back. And so we're all different. So that's why we're going to learn a few different anchor techniques. And the first one today, you're going to see. So first, in exploration, why do you think our minds wander so much? Why do we get so easily distracted as humans? So it's the responsibility of our brains to keep us safe. And they do that by attending to novelty or anything new. So they'll notice and be aware of anything new. There's kind of that joke of when we see a dog and he sees a squirrel, right? And he'll be like focused on one thing and he'll be squirrel, right? We've all seen that before. And the dog loses its entire train of thought, its entire focus. And this is what our brain can do frequently, because attending to novelty, attending to something new is really helpful for us as humans. It's helpful for our safety. It's helpful for our brain to know if anything's a threat. And it's helpful when we were hunter-gatherer ancestors, right? To just be aware. Thousands of years ago, they needed to be extremely vigilant in order to be safe in their environment. So what this means for modern humans, for us today, is that we've inherited a brain, yay, that gets easily distracted. So whenever something's new, a sound, a text, a notification on our phone, these distractions, my dog, these distractions can generate a lot of thinking in our mind. They can stimulate things, and that can pull us away from the present moment. So the next few lessons, as I said, we're going to learn a few different ways to anchor ourselves. And there's different ways that we can use anchors to hold our attention when we practice mindfulness. So placing our attention on the anchor, again, gives our mind, our busy, beautiful mind, something to focus on. And it brings us back to the present moment whenever we get distracted. So I'm going to put up an image, hopefully it's good quality right now that you can see. And so mindfulness anchors, it's breath, body, and sound are the three that we're really going to focus on. And so today we're going to focus on sound. So in just a moment, we will begin our guided practice. Welcome to our guided practice. So in just a moment, we're going to begin. First off, I invite you to allow your body to get into that relaxed yet alert posture, that upright but not uptight that we talked about before. And in just a moment, I'm going to ring a bell. And when I ring this bell, I invite you to let your attention go to the sound of the bell, like we did before, and simply listen to the sound from the moment it starts until it ends. So listen as closely as you can to see if you can actually notice when the sound ends. And again, if you want, you can raise your hands whenever you notice the sound has gone away. Okay, so take a moment and notice how you feel. Notice, was that challenging or was it easy to just notice the sound? I'm going to ring the bell again, and this time, if you'd like, you can close your eyes or softly focus your gaze downward, whatever's comfortable for you. And just take that moment, eyes closed, and listen from the beginning until it ends. Notice again how you feel. And while your eyes are closed or gently focused downwards, take a moment to see if you notice any other sounds. First, you can notice sounds that are far away. Perhaps you can hear sounds on my video of seagulls or cars or the wind. Maybe you can notice sounds from another room, either at home or at school, wherever you're watching this. Sounds from outside your window. See if you can notice when a sound starts and when it ends. And now notice, are there sounds nearby? Perhaps there's the sound of people moving near you, or the sound of your breathing, or the sound of airs moving through the vents. Maybe there's the sound of the electronics whirring around you. Or maybe you don't notice any other sounds at all. besides my voice and the wind around me while I'm filming. That's okay. You don't need to actively search for sounds. Just notice what sounds come and what sounds go around you. If your mind wanders away from noticing sounds, which it probably will, that's okay. Just notice what your mind wandered to. Be curious. Be kind and curious. And then invite your attention back to the sound, using the sound as that anchor. So I'm now going to drop the sound of my voice for a moment, and I encourage you to just notice the sounds around you a bit more easily. As you notice sounds, see if your mind tries to identify the sound. Do you say car? Loud classroom? Our minds like to make sense of things right away, but sometimes that means we start thinking about the sounds, like where's that car going? Or what are they talking about in that classroom next door? When you notice a sound, see if you can just focus more on the actual sensory experience of the sound. So instead of hearing car, maybe you notice roaring or rattling or a whoosh, something else. Is the sound high-pitched? Is it low-pitched? Is the sound fast or is it slow? Is it constant? Does the sound come and go? Finally, see if any of these sounds register to yourself as being pleasant. If so, what is it about the sound that's pleasant? What do you notice in your body as you listen to it? And same thing, be kind and curious if a sound seems unpleasant or seems irritable to you. Think to yourself, what is it about it that makes it unpleasant to you? What do you notice in your body when you hear that sound? So I'm going to ring the bell one more time. And when you no longer hear it, you can open your eyes or bring your gaze upward. Okay, so here we are with our wrap up and our experiment or tool to use this week. So far we've explored that paying attention versus being distracted, right? So again, still continue that experiment. Still explore when you're paying attention and when you're distracted, and what is that like? What are you paying attention to? What are you distracted by? And then also still be aware of what your body feels like when it's still and what your body feels like when it's in movement. And what's pleasant or unpleasant, where you have tension. Just be aware, be exploring about how your body feels. When you're alert and engaged, what posture are you in? Or when you're bored and tired, what posture is your body in then? So next week, experiment with practicing mindfulness using that anchor of sound. So see if you can find that when your mind's kind of distracted, see if you can stabilize your attention noticing sounds. So knowing that you can also place your attention later, we'll discuss more in practice of being anchored to our breath and different sensations in our body. So just explore this time the sounds, right? Being aware of the sounds around you at any time. So you can do it in a more formal, like seated, still posture practice, or just when you're walking around or you're in class, like just be aware of the sounds. See what you find out, what you discover about yourself and other things. So again, you have your journal that you can write in, answer the questions and reflect on what we learned today. And we're going to close with one more sound of the bell and taking 3 breaths ourselves. So, are you ready? you all have a beautiful day, and I will see you next time.